Have you ever loved something so much that you just want to make it happen every day? Me neither. This is a podcast a day. Another day and I'm still here. 338, and I'm confident that that is actually the right number this time, and I can say it with confidence. Like I just said confidence twice, didn't I? It's a sporty affair. I I am the sporty Spice today. The Spice Girls had no relevance to this at all. It's just a sporty affair, and sporty in the best way. In the way that it's sort of like Formula One. The reason Formula One is so good isn't actually because of the sport itself. Now, I do enjoy it. I enjoy the races. I enjoy it when they're exciting. Obviously, I enjoy it when they're exciting more than when they're boring. That should go without saying. But I enjoy that as a base level. But what makes it so at least different is that it's so fun. I don't know if there's a more fun off season than Formula One. In the sense that obviously in between the football season you've got transfers and stuff, and in between, I guess, like NBA, I'm assuming it's the same in the NFL. I don't know, though. You have like a draft and stuff. There's actual events. There's actual like things taking place. But with Formula One, it's a type of sport where for example, you have an actual race. The actual sport. At most once a week, but that's very rare. It's usually if it's like once a week and you got another race next week, that's like, oh, we got a double week, or like a double fixture set. Like it's like, oh, that's nice. Usually it's like one on, one off, one on, one off. Sometimes two off. They can do that. They'll do that for a break. Type thing. So, and you live off that. You stew off it for a while. NBA. I don't know how many times they play a week, but like they play that every 2-3 days now. You know what I mean? And football, I mean, they say you play every other Saturday, but realistically, especially if you're playing, well, actually, no, probably all three of the leagues have got their own competitions, but you're going to be playing in both cups and the European competition and the Premier League. Around Christmas time, you are basically playing like 3 games every 9 days or whatever. So Formula One, it's like you stew on the same like result. I guess you got qualifying but anyway, you still in the same event for like a longer period of time, and there's just something about it where like it's not just what's happening on the track; it's the on-track affairs. Not like the genuine affairs, but I wouldn't put it past some of them. You know what I mean? Just like the antics that go on, the personalities around it. That's what makes up so much of it and makes it a lot of fun. Why am I talking about? Oh yeah, that's the sort of vibe we got today. It's like it's about sports, but it's not like about Brighton Hove and Albion beat West Brom 7-2. It would never be that high of a score, but you know what I mean. It's not like just going through scores and stuff. Speaking of which, though, Formula One, the season will be starting back. What are we in? We're already getting to mid-February, and I'm pretty sure it starts back early March. Like we are very much right around the corner. And maybe it's because I don't like Formula One as much as football. But how long is the gap in between the end of the footballing season and the beginning of the next season, like in football? Because it feels like when you get to the end of the season, it's like, oh, God, wait so long for football to be back and starting the countdown. Whereas Formula One, it has flown by. Like, it's literally right around the corner. I'm pretty sure it starts early March. We're like a couple weeks out. And there's still things getting dropped. Because it feels like an event. There's only like, everything feels like a bigger event and stuff like. You don't get excited when every single team in the Premier League drops their new kit, really. You're like, oh, okay, that's a new kit, okay, sure. But because there's only 10 teams, I guess, it's like when every team drops its livery and its overalls, and it's just like another thing that ramps you up. And there's been shit happening, there's been Lewis going Ferrari, there's been this whole Christian Horner drama shit, right? But like, I'm pretty sure the gap in between the Formula One season ending and starting is probably bigger than the footballing one, but it has felt shorter. Which is actually probably, yeah, like I said, down to the fact that I'm less wanting it. Like I like football more. When you don't think about it as much, I guess, if I'm not thinking about Formula One every second of the day, it's just going to come around quicker. That's probably the explanation there. But still, still we rise, man. Is that Hamilton, or is that like, so Hamilton's quotes are so like, they're so like, poetry, like, mountains in the background, white swirly text on the front. I'm like, is that a Hamilton quote, or is that like an old like what are they called? An old like fuck. This is I hate this when you're like you're trying to make a point and then you can't think of the single word because you're doing this and this is in your face and you're like they put you on the spot and then now it doesn't even make there's no point anymore. what are those people called who throw the tomato soup at the artwork? You know, all these different words. That plagiarist, no, that's like copying. Anarchist, no, I don't. That's like what Andrew Tate probably thinks he is. I guess I don't really know what an anarchist like is. I guess you know, you go around and you do like you know, you care about the planet and the earth and the environment and like political stuff, and you like protest. I'm doing this. Sorry, that no, I mean that was me pretending to protest. But you know what I mean. You're like, is that Hamilton quote or is that like? It's like, oh, that would actually be a good game. Guess the quote. Oh no, here's the quote. Is it a Hamilton quote or an old Hamilton quote or Martin Luther King quote? Guess the quote. What are they called? I want to move on, but I want to remember so badly. I don't think I've even given a good enough a description for if anyone could even know what I'm trying to think about from the description I gave because it was so shit. Um, you are a, and I don't even know what I would type in to find the word. You know, you know if you know, and this, just know the second I stopped this, I sat in this exact spot for a good amount of time, staring at this blank wall or that blank wall or that blank wall. That's right, I'm basically in a mental prison in here, right? And I just looked void, dead, 50 yards stare, however many yards, 100 yards stare, how many you want, right? I got them. I got yards coming out of my neck, okay? And I'll just be here waiting till it comes to me. And it will. It will. You're a, uh, it's not going to be there. But either way, I'm actually not going to any of the things here. This has just all been tangent. Um, Gary Neville, um, has his different. Gary Neville, actually, to be fair to him, compared to most like people who have been in football, who have tried to move into like, the YouTube stuff, like people have tried to do it before Gary Neville, uh, getting on the YouTube thing, do that kind of content. Gary Neville, I think, does it the best, and it feels like maybe everyone who does it is coming from a genuine place, but his just feels the most authentic. Because obviously, people have got in on it before him. He's not like he's the first to like switch over and not just be mainstream, right? But it does feel like, you know, Rio Ferdinand, you know, playing FIFA with like Danny Aaron's, whatever the fuck he does, like going on these podcasts, those podcasts. I'm not saying he's being fake. Maybe it's just his personality is conducive to you believing it's fake. But like Gary Neville, it's because it's not a huge world of difference. It's not like he does his own content, all of a sudden he's like a different person. I'm way more relaxed. He's basically the same on Sky Sports as he is in his own stuff, so maybe that's why it feels genuine, whereas there feels like there's more of a shift with Rio. Or maybe Rio's just more obnoxious because now I think about it, he does have that clip on like BT Sports where he's kind of just being like, "Get the contract, put it down on the table, sign it now." Which, to be honest, to be fair to him, that decision and that whole like movement from him and other Man United fans led to some of the most enjoyable years, I think it was, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where you could all laugh and watch Mark Goldbridge clips and just sort of everyone could band together. It's like, you know, in the World Cup, it's like usually got all your club rivalries and you hate this player. Then the World Cup comes around and all of a sudden you're cheering for players you usually hate because you want England to do well and it's coming home and this and that. It's like we all could band together. You support who? You support who? Love thy neighbour. Well, we all hate United in the shit and they're losing 7-0 to Liverpool every other week. Obviously not, but you know, every other season, every season. It was great. It was great. It was good times. But yeah, no, Gary Neville was doing one of his little talks where he likes to talk with his footballing pals. And I don't often watch them, but for clips on TikTok or Twitter, they were good. And he was talking about, oh, right, no, people must have been doping. You think about it, oh, that's not right. That you'd get off the pitch sometimes and you go, I mean, we were fit. We were fit lads. You know, we weren't drinking or smoking. I was thinking, speak for yourself. Gary Neville, when you watch the Beckham documentary, so straight laced. He's got like his middle part in. He's like, yeah, Beckham, we should probably get back for the curve. And then you got like Beckham who's driving down the length of the country to go see I can't remember her name. David and Victoria, every other weekend or whatever, right? And you got like this guy players out on the like they had players out on the drinks. Gary Neville can sit there and be like, we weren't drinkers because he definitely was like staying back straight laced. But either way, you know, we were fit. You know, you get off the pitch sometimes. No, that's not right. That's what he was saying. Basically going, no one's doping. And I've heard this conversation before. I remember when I used to watch the kickoff, True Geordie, back in what I'd call the golden era. The panel was, and this is very niche, and so if you know, you know, I can't explain the whole thing right now, but like the whole dynamic of what the show is. But The hosts were True Geordie, Lawrence McKenna. Around this era, which I'm calling back, to probably be like Rory Jennings, and it was either going to be like Hugh Wizzy or Adam McCullough, someone like that. Maybe James Lawrence Alcott on a little special. Little special. Anyway, I remember he was talking about how like why is no one get? And this was before it was made a thing by pros and stuff, well, by Gary Neville. Right now, this is like a couple of years ago. Kind of saying, in cycling, you've had people who have won Tour de France's and shit, like the big boy events, yeah, and they're getting called out or caught for doping, or whatever, and all their stuff stripped away from them. Same in the Olympics, same in probably every other top level sport. Whereas in football, there has been no real big, you know, thing where that's happened. There's not been like a whole team does really like the kind of example for football would be Man City. Turns out they've all been cheating. They've all been on something, which would suggest what? So the biggest sport in the world, there's very few examples of it, and there is examples of like a one-off player here and there who's probably been like punished for a few months and a bit behind the scenes, whatever. But like, it's not been like a whole team proven for this in this era or this era, and they get their things stripped away or something. It's just like happens in every single other sport, but it doesn't. It rarely happens in the biggest one. It's surely, especially when like it would probably be really helpful in football. There's some sports where you catch them doping and you go, "Oh, Luke Littler, did you? Was it even worth it, mate? How does it even help you here?" It's like there's just certain sports where you go, there's people doing it, and you go, what's the point? But in football, it feels like just the gas tank aspect going on, or like in a big tournament type thing. Um, you kind of just see it, especially with the. I mean, now it'd probably be really hard, but like late '90s, early 2000s, that kind of feels like the kind of time where you get that going. Now it'd make a lot of sense because there's even more games and they're coming thick and fast. But maybe they just hide it well. They just hide it as it's like a medication, or like it helps you get big and strong when you get a injury. We've got the best doctor in the country that he can get you back in no time. You have an ACL, he'll get you back in a couple of weeks. An ACL, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how good you are at being a doctor. I don't know. We'll give you that special juices in the system, juices in this, not juicing in the system, type thing. It's like all actors go, completely natural. I went on a very strict regime, taking certain supplements and proteins, and it's like, they want to feel like they did it in a really good way, so they probably hide it under other stuff. And same with football, probably. It's like, no, it's just medicines and things, to help you grow more and be better at the sport and stuff. But, there's probably some kind of ways it can get in there. You can take certain types of things that don't show up or are under certain rules that are probably made years ago, are like considered allowed. I don't know. Like, I doubt it's just like a bunch of lads before the game, all with like needles going, like it's probably done in a way that doesn't feel cheaty. Maybe in a way you could convince yourself even that we're not cheating. We're not cheating. No, we're not cheating. No. But it wouldn't look good. And if Man City did get someone like that, it wouldn't look good with the 115 charges they've already got against them for like all of the financial shit. And look, a lot of teams have charges. Everton have had charges. They're in the relegation zone. I think we had our verdict. I'm not sure on the charges, but we had a transfer ban. But I'm not being funny. Us and City, I can't really say it's the same. They got 115. Our transfer ban, I think, was for like signing Ampadu from Exeter when he was too young or something. Like, I don't think it was anything crazy deep. And guess what? We did our time. We had a transfer ban for a year. We did our time. So it's fine. It's fine. I have good memories from that season. Frank Lampard, top four, no Hazard, young players all scoring goals, 5-2 against Wolves, all the goals, Tammy Abraham hat-trick, Tomori screamer, Mason Mount goal in the end. The Mason Mount one hurts more now because he left us for Manchester United and he hasn't been good since, and he gets bantered every single day on the timeline. Arguably deserves it for him leaving. But, that's just football for you. I got a bunch of other things here, but it was slow for me to gather even this shit, and I'm expecting tomorrow to probably be the same, so I've got to keep holding carry what I can. 339. So see you in 399. Well, we're so close to 400, which means we're so close to 500, which isn't like a landmark in terms of that's 1 year, that's 2 years. I think 2 years will be, I can't do the maths, like 720 something probably. But is that right? I don't know. But 500 is still a good number to go to. So let's do like 10 more days of this, and then we'll get there.